So, in your book, after it talks about creating the lighting legend, which is what we did, it talks about creating a lighting schedule. So, your lighting legend allows anyone reading the drawing to understand what the symbol is. So, our symbol that we use for our troffer light, that it's a troffer light, etc. Your lighting schedule, this is unique in Revit as far as creating it because what it does is it takes where we tagged our lights, and if you were going to create a schedule in Revit, which with Revit typically you will create schedules for almost everything. It's one of the items that makes Revit so useful because to give information to subs and for counts and ordering and all of that. You would tag every single light. So all of your troffer lights would have a tag that says L1. All of your linear lights would have a tag that says L2. And what that allows Revit to do is when you create the schedule, setting up the parameters, and I said your book will talk about it, is it gives you a count. So they will know I need to order 30 L1 fixtures, and this is what they are. Your description oftentimes is more than just a 2x2 LED light. It'll often have the specific manufacturer, the brand, all the information on to order it. So this is very helpful with Revit and part of its appeal and usefulness as you go through it. However, we are not going to create a lighting schedule, so you can just look over that. The next thing we are going to focus on is actually dimensioning the ceiling plan. When you are dimensioning or creating a reflected ceiling plan for a commercial drawing, you will have dimensions, whereas a lighting plan for a residential drawing often does not dimension your lighting. In a commercial plan, which is what we're working on, anytime you have a grid ceiling, you do not need to dimension the lights because you are going to place this grid exactly like you want it, and you'll place the lighting within the grid where you want it. Your installer is going to install the grid exactly as it's shown on this drawing. And then they're going to install the lighting within that grid. So there's no dimensions needed for that. Any other type of ceiling, so our gypsum ceiling, our wood ceiling, etc., you need to dimension exactly where your lights are placed so that they know exactly where you want them installed and it goes in the correct spot. All right, so the first thing you'll want to do is kind of check and make sure that where you placed your lights, when you're placing them, which is what we've already done, is you want to make sure that they make sense from a dimensioned standpoint. So, make sure you're placing them so they are, move my dimension over here, so that they're a distance that makes sense. If I can get mine from the interior. So like 5'9" and not 5'9 3/8", etc. So make sure you're placing them exactly where you want them as you go through. So then you're going to use your align dimension tool. That is either available in your quick access toolbar at the very top or under the annotate tab. It's the diagonal is the align dimension. And that's one we use the most often. So you'll click on the align dimension tool. You're going to start at the face. If you need to, if this has changed for some reason, make sure it's on wall faces. I'm going to do the face, start at one end and work my way across. I'm going to go to the center of one light, the center of the next light. I'm going to come down to this row, hit the center of this light, center again, center again. I'm not going to go to the far edge. Okay, we're going to bring this, we'll bring it up this high. I'm going to hit modify to come out of this. Okay, so now you can see this is where you want to make sure that you've placed everything so that it makes sense. And again, this for your exercises you go through, don't worry about changing it. But in real life, you want to make sure that these make sense. For lighting, you just need to start at one side and work your way across. I don't need to dimension what's left over here because it's never going to match up in real life, your exact dimensions as to what's on the drawing. So leave one end open. Choose what's most important. Is it most important that it's from this wall, or is it most important from this wall? So you'll choose that as you're laying that out. So now I have the lines for this as it goes through. And then so these are all aligned as it goes through. You could also, you see how wherever I click it, the line goes all the way through. If you wanted to make it extra clear as to where that these are all lined up, I can start at the bottom. I hit the wrong thing. Start at the bottom and choose the bottom row. Again, just come through and click it on each one and then pull it up, and you see how it's going to pull those lines through all of them. So that's another way to do it. Okay. So you have it across this way. The next thing you need to know is how far apart they are the other way. So we're again going to come to our line dimension tool. I'm going to choose this top row. You're always going to come to the center of the light fixture. And I'm going to hit again each one as it comes through here and pull it. For a lighting dimension, you can keep them closer inside. Okay, so if I pulled it all the way out, it can become confusing with what's going on with the grid ceiling. So I'm going to keep this closer to it as it comes through. Again, since these are lined up, I only need to have one string for each row and one string for each column of lights. Then I need to dimension these, what are these? My pin lights? I think so. So same thing, I'm going to click my Align Dimension tool. Let's come from the other side. We're going to find that center placement, and I'm going to bring this lower than the lights we have above here. Okay, so that makes it easier to see where everything is connected. And then finally, I'm going to dimension them from this spot here. And my last ones are my pendant lights down here, the same thing. So I'm going to do one dimension to the center here because they're all in a line. And then I'm going to take from the edge of my wood ceiling and go to the center of each light as it goes through. And then I'm just going to pull it up where it's easy to read. And again, hit my modify button to come out. Okay. So that covers everything. Again, you don't need to dimension anything in a grid ceiling, but all other lights that you have that are not in a grid ceiling need to have a dimension to them to know for due directions. Okay, so they should be from how far out from this wall and how far out from another wall. So keep in mind kind of a grid placement. If you're talking columns and rows, you should have a dimension, 2 dimensions for each light to know where to place it.